Vinny Galanti wanted me to mention that on Instagram, you can find him, Vinny Galanti underscore. But we have so many topics to cover. So I just wanted to jump right in and get started. How are you? Happy holidays. What's new and exciting with you?
Happy holidays. Uh, Well, I'm surviving this pandemic like everyone else is. I personally, I think we're in the beginning stages of the end, and I'm having a positive mindset to that. So I'm looking forward to 2021, getting out of this. 2020 wasn't that clear.
Well, they do have at least a vaccine that they're coming out with. I'm hoping positive things with that for sure. It would be nice to be able to talk to someone without a mask or, to be able to hug someone and not feel like, oh my gosh, scared while you're doing it.
Sure.
Something. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. That's for sure.
I actually I actually had it about 3 months ago.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my.
Not. I didn't feel a thing.
No?
I was sick one day, and when my results came back that I was positive, I was actually shocked because I from all the things I heard, I thought I was gonna be bedridden for 2 weeks, but I didn't feel anything. I felt like I don't know, I was just on the bed and on the couch for about 12 hours, lost my appetite, and then the next day I was fine, and then that was it. And I had a quarantine for 14 days, and it felt like it was a waste of time because I didn't feel sick. I lost my appetite. I lost my taste
Got
and scent. That was about it. That was it. And I went and got tested on the 15th day, and I was negative, and I went to the gym, and that was it. Yeah,
So how has it, yeah, let's talk about the gym for sure. How
sure.
has it been with the shutdowns and with trying to train people and just keeping like your clients focused? How have you managed to do all that?
It was it was pretty rough because um, first I was blessed that a I can't say his name or the location because it was kind of underground. A facility allowed me in the doors at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, to train my clients the best I could. How many I can get in, as long as other people weren't in there, and I got that done, and it made me a little money. But um, I was sidelined a little bit, not as bad as a lot of other people,
Okay.
because I also had done a lot of online stuff. So where the in person dropped off, the online stuff picked up, and now getting back into the groove and getting my client base back up, and fortunately our governor's saying that he won't close us down, so that's a positive, and that there's been um, proven results that the gyms are safe. So we're moving in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction. And this year I chose not to
Yeah.
compete because I didn't want to prepare for a contest and not know. At my age of 53, my body's not working the same way, so I need a lot of rest, and I need to really pay attention to my recovery days, and to beat myself up for 12 weeks and then to have to do it all over again real soon after that, like chasing a contest. I just chose back in early July to just you know what, I'm not going to do anything this year. I'm going to wait until next year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, speaking of 53, I know you had some surgery. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it was a big deal and how you
Yeah.
recovered and managed to make.
So back in 2013, I retired from competing, and I thought I would never do it again. And I was fortunate in my career that I was with Universal Nutrition for 18 years. And the guys that I met there were world-class powerlifters. So when I was done with bodybuilding, I reached out to a couple of the guys and I said, hey, I want to do a powerlifting meet. And I would go to Skiba's gym in Carteret, New Jersey, every Sunday and Wednesday for a year straight, like half of 13, all through 14. And did my first and only powerlifting meet. I enjoyed it. And it kind of brought me back to like the old school, like back in 1984, 85, 86, kind of feeling like you're in a in a dirty gym and just, it was cool. So I like camaraderie with the powerlifters. And I did my only meet, one and done. And then a couple months after that, I was dumbbell bench pressing, and I went a little too heavy one day. And as I had 90-pound dumbbells over my head, over my face, because I was doing flat bench dumbbells, my right side just tore right off and dislocated. And fortunately, one of my clients is a anesthesiologist for ultimately the doctor that ended up doing the surgery. And I contacted him ASAP, like right. I was still in the gym. And he said, come into the office right now and he'll see you. So an hour later, they're looking at me and I'm going in for an MRI, literally an hour later. And this is what you did, Vin. You tore the entire rotator cuff right off and it's dislocated. So they had to reset it. That was painful. And then I got a call. I was supposed to have surgery January 21st, I believe it was. And this was 2015. And I got a call 2 days before, hey, we have an opening for New Year's Eve morning. Would you like to come in? I'm like, absolutely. Let's get this going. I just want to get on my recovery faster. So it was not anything like I ever experienced. If I had a gun, I would have shot my kneecaps off. That's how painful it was. Having 9 anchors drilled into my shoulder wasn't, think of having a root canal 10 times over. And it wasn't fun. So the sleeping was horrible because you could have to sleep straight up in a chair. You can't lay on it, can't lay down, can't lay sideways, can't do anything. And I just couldn't train. And that lasted for almost 8 months. And then I started to work out a little bit, started moving my arm again. And, it was more extensive damage because of, I needed all the anchors to repair the shoulder.
Okay, the word anchor and your body are not supposed to be in the same sentence, Vinny.
Tell me about it.
Anchor, Vinny.
So then,
oh gosh,
I'm starting to work out again, and in December of 15, I then tore the left side. I did a duplicate, double image, a mirror image of the right side, and I had surgery early in 2016, and to fix the left shoulder, and then the process started all over again. But then this time, I was thinking about, well, how can I recover faster? And I did a lot of research, and there's a lot of information on the internet. So I found some good people to help me recover a lot quicker. And the left side, I recovered in about, not even recover, but I was back in the gym within about 5 months. And I changed my diet. I went back to a bodybuilding diet because I was eating really bad and I got depressed, not being able to work out. And so once I cleaned my diet up and I started seeing my metabolism kicking into gear and almost looking like what I used to look like with a smaller waist, and my shoulders started to grow again, I started thinking, this new classic division in bodybuilding is made for me. That's what I look like when I competed. So I thought I would, be able to quickly get back into shape. And I trained for the Masters Baltimore Pro in 2017. And I ended up in dead last. I got crushed. It was embarrassing. And so I figured, hey, let me go back to the drawing board, and I'll go back to the show next year. And I took dead last again. And I was like, maybe I should quit. maybe this is behind me. Maybe my better days are, seen its better days. So literally, this is a true story here. I get home and I turn the TV on. It was the weekend I get home from the contest. They were doing a special on Tom Brady and at the age he was and what he's doing about changing his game, changing his off season, changing his nutrition plan. And I'm thinking to myself, here's the best of the best admitting he needs to change to move forward.
Right.
And it got me thinking. And I started thinking about, okay, I got these freaking 14 acres in my shoulders. It's hard for me to pose. What did I do wrong the last 2 years? And I went and changed the way I trained. I incorporated different styles of training. I incorporated Bulgarian split squats, which I thought were, only girls did those. See girls doing them and you're thinking like, that's not a tough exercise.
Right.
That's a bitch, that exercise. I started using time under tension.
Okay.
I started using, you're laughing. I started
No.
using time under tension. I started using the 10 by 10 program. And I was never a guy to follow any program.
Okay.
I was very fortunate that my genetics just were that decent. And, it wasn't hard for me back in the 90s to win national titles. I was very, very lucky. I won the Jersey, as you know, the Junior USA. I won the Junior Nationals. I won the USA. I won the Masters Nationals, top 5 in the Nationals, 2nd to 5th, 10 years in a row. And it wasn't hard for me. It just wasn't difficult. So now I'm faced with, how bad do you really want to do this? And how bad do you really love the sport? And, as you and I were prepping earlier, before we started, I told you that, before my feet hit the floor in the morning, to this day, I still think about bodybuilding. I think about, what am I going to train? I love this. So I just went ahead and put a game plan together. And the other thing too, is I stopped talking to everybody because I was picking everybody's brain, and I just put my blinders on. And I said, this is it. I'm going to go to the Masters Pittsburgh Pro for 2019. And then if I could look amazing again, like the way I used to look, then I will think about doing the New York Pro one more time to, close the door for myself. I have unfinished business there, not in a sense of like, I need to win it, but just a personal thing, because when I retired in 2013, personally, I was in a bad place in my life.
Okay.
And so it would be more of a personal endeavor more than, hey, I want to see if I get to the Olympia. And I'm realistic. I'm not unrealistic. I don't think I'm, now going to be 54 next year. Well, could I get to the Olympia? I doubt it, but can I show up in the best shape that I could possibly be in? That I could do. So I set my sights on the Pittsburgh Masters Pro. And at the time, as a pro, you got to sign a contract. And so I had the contract printed out for the over 50 and the over 40. And my wife said to me, "You're going to do the over 40 too?" I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, those guys are a lot younger than you." I'm like, "Listen, if I win the over 50, no one's going to give a shit. It's going to be a big deal. I got to win the over 40 too." She's like, "You just took 2 years coming in dead last." I'm like, "Well, thanks for the vote of confidence here." So that was that. And then I ended up winning both in the same night. So that was awesome. So I came in the best shape of my life. At 53, I brought another level of conditioning. I wanted to be Gaspari-like. That was my goal. That was the goal. And even though I won the contest and I looked probably one of the best I've ever had presented on stage, there were other areas that I know I lacked in. And because of my shoulder surgeries, I didn't practice my posing as what I was known for. And so that bothers me, because I was thinking, I was remembering, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan, but now I'm a big Tom Brady fan because of his age. And, Tom Brady is always saying, "Oh yeah, I might've won the game that day, but I played horrible." So I look back at, me trying to be a better athlete, a better bodybuilder. I won that day, but there were parts of me that slacked. And so that eats at me, even like right now as we talk about it, because I think about what I want to do next. And I'm like, I got to have a better posing routine. I have to present myself better. I'm very hard on myself. I don't give myself too much slack. And I think that's one reason why I've had the success I've had.
Wow. Now that is all amazing. Seriously.
Yeah.
Back and not only so for people to understand that like there's different classes that you can be in. So they would break it up by age. So they would be a class that's for people in their 40s, and then they would have like a whole separate class for people that are in their 50s. And what Vinny has just explained is not only did he take the quote unquote class for his age group, but he took the one that was the younger guys. So he competed against them and he brought home both of them, which I'm sure they were not too happy about, but that's not about them. But it's like best.
Well, yeah, I went against some good guys.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
personal
so it's
best.
two different.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So,
So
yeah, in the IFBB, we have, the Masters. We have an opportunity to compete in the Masters, and my ego says to do the Open, but I got a lot of business from guys over 40 and 50 after I won the show. So, now my mindset's changing a little bit. Should I really even attempt to go to the New York Pro, or should I go to another Masters show? So I'm not really 100% sure what I'm going to do yet for 2021.
Right. Well, you can fill yourself out and see which way you want to go. It's quite all right. So you said definitely you wake up and you think, okay, what am I working out? Do you work out every day, every other day, twice a day? What's a normal day for you?
So my normal day is I train about 5 people a day. And I train at about 11 a.m. every day. I purposely take off Thursdays and Sundays. I don't work out. Today was the first time I worked out on a Sunday in probably 2 years, because I missed this last Friday because I just needed an extra day off. But no, I purposely do legs on Wednesdays and rest on Thursday. Good. And I purposely do back on Saturday, and I rest on Sundays. So I'm a big believer in recovery, especially now. Tina, the stretch boss, is always working on me, and I got a few other people that beat my body up to help me get back in the gym. So I appreciate that these modalities that are available to us today,
So all right, so you do give yourself time to work, to rest in between there, and you say you train other people as well. Are they all training for shows, or are they just trying to be, fit? How do you set up someone in COVID time to train? Because it's not like maybe you can see them, maybe you can't see them. What's changed? How did you have to, I guess, like alter your instruction now that we're in the world of COVID?
I have some in-person clients that I train during the day.
Okay.
Currently, they are not training they don't train for competition. They're just, business guys, and I got them in the morning. And then right now, the competitors that I work with, I don't say dealing with, that I'm working with, they're all virtual, and it's been through either Zoom or pictures, videos, things like that, and it works. Yeah.
Well, you're like the Bionic Man, and I want you to, stop doing that. We want your body parts to be your own, not bolts and screws. And cow, that's like crazy. I
actually had
You actually had?
I missed you. I didn't hear you.
I stopped because you said
I had knee surgery. Oh, I had knee surgery in August.
See?
But I'm fine.
So
I'm fine.
Replacement.
Hey, I beat my body up.
Yes. What did they have to do with your knee?
Just clean it up. It was no big deal.
Just
I was training legs 10 days later anyway. So.
Oh, okay. See. All right. So as I had mentioned, I wanted people to understand that, people that are, bodybuilders, they're not that different than you, but that doesn't really apply to you, Vinny. You are not.
No.
You're a little crazy, but we love that about you.
I don't know. Am I crazy, or is just I love what I do and I find ways around obstacles? I don't make excuses. And, I just think we live in a world today where people just give up too quick. I'm not about that lifestyle. I don't give up quick. It took me 16 years to turn pro.
I
You know,
love
today
that.
people turn pro.
I love that you say that. That's amazing.
Yeah, people turn pro quick, and they talk about, oh my God, it took me so long to turn pro, and then they'll tell me they've been training for, you know, competing for 2 years. I'm like, oh my God, stop! You have no idea what taking a long time to turn pro is. I could have went to college 4 times, you know. So
I heard you mention that your wife said, okay, you know, like, you know, you came in last, but seriously, can you just talk a little bit about how, like, it's kind of a group effort and it's like the family has to be with you because everybody's got to be there on board with you? Because it is a bit of all encompassing, especially closer to your show day, like your food, your meals, the time.
I have, yeah, I have a different viewpoint to that, because I've seen, you know, in the past, competitors always talking about their support team, or why don't people understand what I'm doing, blah blah blah, right? I chose to do this. I didn't nobody put a gun to my head, and there's no reason for me to lash out at any family member because I'm choosing to be on a low carb diet. I think it's complete bullshit when competitors start talking about, people don't understand me, they got to stay away from me, and they're grumpy and angry. I'm not grumpy and angry when I'm training for a show. I find this now, was I maybe when I was 22 years old? Maybe. But as I've gotten older, I've chosen to do this. And there's no reason for me to be a jerk to everybody around me. And yeah, you know, you find your support team from family and friends sometimes, but at the end of the day, this is all my work. I don't have anybody that, you know, doesn't understand what I do, but I also don't make it like, hey, you're in my way kind of thing, or look at me, like, look what I do. I'm not solving world peace here. I'm just training for a contest. This isn't that big of a deal. You know, it's not I'm not finding the cure for COVID. I'm just finding, like, hey, can this 53-year-old still maintain a high level of conditioning and you know, train balls out in the gym? When I come home, I'm not complaining. When I'm around family, I'm not complaining. You know, bodybuilding is the last topic even talked about once I leave the gym. And I think that the balance has to come a little bit more closer to the chest for a lot of competitors. It's not all, like, a lot of competitors, as you know, because you've been around the sport a million years, just like I have. You know, I've known you for a long time, and I'm sure you've seen, excuse my language, a lot of jerk offs out there. They treat people rude.
Yeah.
And I'm not about that. I'm not about that. I don't feel like there's a need for that. I think you should, if you're grumpy, walk away. No need to, you know, no need to be a jerk to people.
Okay. I like that.
I say it as it is. It's the truth.
It is. It is. And
do I have my bad days? Of course, everybody has a bad day.
Right.
But because I'm a bodybuilder on a diet doesn't mean that I need to let everybody know about it. You know, it's like, you know, so.
Speaking of diet, so what's a meal like for you? What's, if you're training mode, what's a typical meal for you? Like, how many eggs, how many chickens, how many fish, how much are you consuming in a given day?
Are we talking contest or off season?
Contest. Yeah.
Contest. Pretty much my protein doesn't change all too much. I actually, believe it or not, I just had this conversation with somebody. My diet almost looks pretty similar to what it was 30 years ago. I eat 5-6 meals a day. My protein is about probably 40 grams of protein per meal, and my carbohydrates roughly are in the ballpark of, say, 300 grams daily. And then when I start to prep, I bring my carbs down to 100 grams And then I have one day where I increase it to 400 grams. And then I do that carb rotation. And John Kemper was the one who taught me how to do that back in 92.
Of
You
course.
know, carb, you know, I think a lot of competitors think they invented it today. It's not true at all. Yeah. So, and then sporadically throughout the diet, and there will be days when I will choose, okay, I want to push the envelope, and go zero, and then, you know, increase the carbs and play around to see, you know, what day do you look better on what carb day.
Okay.
So, you know, with social media, you read a lot about competitors saying, oh, this was the easiest prep ever. This was the greatest prep ever. My coach didn't let me suffer. Fuck you. You need to suffer. I'm telling you, man, if you're not suffering for a contest, you're not going to get in the condition. I suffered last year. I suffered.
Oh.
And if anybody's listening to this and seeing this and thinking that they can get into the condition that they need to beat top guys, you're in the wrong sport. You need to suffer a little bit. You need to be miserable. And I don't mean miserable lashing out at people like we were talking about a minute ago. You need to be miserable where you're thinking, man, am I going to make it through today? I'm going to die, or am I going to live? And you need to get to that level of mental craziness to get into the condition you need to compete. And that's just what we did back in the 90s. And, you know, I think a lot of guys laughed at me. Well, actually, when I was getting ready for Pittsburgh, I contacted 4 different big name coaches.
Okay.
And all 4 turned me down.
Wow.
They didn't want to work with me. One said, his exact words were, your better days are behind you. Why don't you give it up? And that put a chip on my shoulder. And that made me drive. The driving force was even stronger. And, you know, I was on a mission. I was on a mission to get into condition that you don't normally see. And for 53, I brought that condition. And so I was miserable, but it was all worth it. Even if I took 3rd place, it was still going to be worth it, because it's the amount of work you put into it that makes you feel good about yourself. And if you get a reward for it at the end, even better, you know?
Definitely. I definitely think it's I mean, of course, everybody wants to win, but also if you can try to, I won't say enjoy, because like you said, a lot of it is kind of painful, but if you can be in the moment while you're going through the journey, then, you know, you actually can see your own improvements or go against yourself as opposed to someone else that you were standing next to on stage, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And, you know, and I took a very relaxed approach at the same time that I was very intense about what I was doing. You know, let's just say for conversation's sake, I had to eat at, you know, 10 a.m. and I had a client and I didn't get to my meal until 10:10. I didn't flip out, you know, I didn't lose my mind that I was 10 minutes late. I didn't stress out about what time I was going to train. I didn't stress out. I just like, I wanted to do it different this time. And this time was a lot more, probably one of my most intense preps, but one of my most enjoyable ones. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you I wasn't miserable. I was miserable, but I was also in the moment, and I enjoyed.
There you go.
I enjoyed it. You know, I had some good training partners. I remember Sean Ray saying years ago he called his training partners sparring partners, and when I remembered that, and I was like, hey, I'm going to use that. I'm gonna beat these dudes up, and I tried to pick guys who were, you know, 20, 30 years younger than me, and try to train with people and out train them. And some of them, you know, back in the 90s, and I'm sure you saw it at Diamond Gym, where guys would taunt each other, and that was just a normal thing. And competitors today don't know that mindset. If I told a 25-year-old today that I own them and I'm going to bury them today, they wouldn't get pissed off. They would be like, no, you're not. Like it wouldn't be, there wouldn't be like, like no back and forth banter, which that I totally miss that. I totally miss, that banter, but camaraderie
Yeah,
back and forth, that guys would taunt each other. So
not too much talking, but a lot of debate going back and forth during the training. Like, oh, is you only did like 12 reps. Is that all you got today? The first time I went to Diamond Gym, like people were giving advice, who were not my trainers, but like if I dared, like if we stopped like right now and we're talking, they'd be like, "Are you talking or are you training?" You're like, I don't even know
absolutely.
them.
Absolutely.
Like,
I walk up to kids today in the gym, and I literally say to kids, I watched you pick up your phone so fast after you got done doing a set. Can you not put that phone in your hand? Can you just focus? And they're looking at me like, what's the big deal? And they don't know. They don't understand. They don't understand. I joke with them, and I tell the guys, I say, hey, do you know that every time you pick up your phone between sets, something shrinks? I didn't want to say what I usually say to them.
I hope they believe.
So, I like that. Listen, I like that fun in the gym. I like that fun, but I'm also serious. When was the first time you walked into Diamond Gym? What year?
Oh my God, I don't even remember what year it was. It was a long time ago, Vinny, like in the 90s.
Right. So
in the 90s, I'd say
that
90.
I missed you. What'd you say?
I said in the 90-ish. I'm not sure. 90-ish.
Yeah. So, the mindset back then was, if, it's now called the Kemper Classic, but it used to be the Suburban. If you couldn't win the Suburban, don't even talk about going to the Jersey. And if you can't win the Jersey, don't go to the Junior USA. And if you can't win the Junior USA or top two, don't talk about going to the USA, let alone talk about going to the Nationals. And can you imagine if John Kemper was alive today with all these guys bragging that they're qualified athletes? Who cares? Really, no disrespect, but win a show. Don't brag that you're 3 times qualified for a national level. I don't care. If you win a title, and remember the Beast of the East trophy? Man, that was a badass trophy. I got 2 of those. So, I got a lot of hardware in my office, man, and it's just.
It's funny that different, I guess, age groups, view the sport differently, and yeah, I guess if you sit now and you think, once people say, "Oh, I put in a lot of hard work," you're like, okay. It's I'm not taking anything away from them, because for anyone who tries this, or for anyone who goes out and does competing, you have to get your mind together, you have to get everything wrapped around it, and get into the groove. But I applaud people who, of course, are gonna put their body through the whole thing. It's definitely old school versus new school. That's always going to be a rival, probably, no matter what sport it is, to the end of time. Like old football players talking about football players for today, or
absolutely
any sport. But yeah, it's a whole different approach. I'd say it's a different approach to how it's done.
Absolutely. It's all, listen, when I tease like that, it's all fun and games. I would probably be doing the same thing they're doing today, trying to get publicity. I don't mock anybody for trying to get work and publicity, but the way I looked at bodybuilding was, how much money could I make from it? I didn't look at the publicity as just an egomaniac aspect of it. I didn't want to just be, a model. I wanted to also bring home titles. So, I'm all for the social media aspect of this to promote one's image or brand, but at the same time, accomplish something in the sport. Because if there's hundreds and thousands of guys now that are just superstars on Instagram, but they can't win a title. And it's a shame, the direction the sport, well, it's not even the sport itself, it's it has its own tentacles in a sense, its own vine leaves. What's the phrase I'm looking for? Where it's branched off.
South, yes.
You would never see a guy who lives on your street with a really fast car being praised by the guys from NASCAR. It wouldn't happen. It'd be like you just have a fast car and like you're not a real pro. Right. And so we have so many professionals that are not. And that's the annoying part of this today. But other than that, I mean, everything works out great. I mean, these guys are phenomenal. They got great physiques. And my kudos to them. But win some titles. I dare these guys to win some titles. I dare them. Get on stage. Because there's a lot, I won't name names, but there's a lot of guys out there who've got 3 million followers. They used to compete, but they won't now because they probably won't have followers anymore because their physiques are not that great. So, but in a tank top and shorts, they look phenomenal and they do stupid things and they're some of these guys are in their 40s acting like they're 20. You know, time to grow up a little bit. Get a job. I'm bad, I know, I'm sorry. This is the old school part of me coming out.
That's all right. You got to be you. I totally understand. You got to be you. I don't think you're saying anything bad or detrimental to anyone.
No. I tease a lot. And listen, guys can tease me. I'm not. I get guys calling me the old man in the gym now. So it's all good. It's all fine. You know.
You're like, that's the old pro. Man, yeah. Just, want to add that in there because you got the title and the card and the placard and everything else to back it up, which is awesome. So, all right, now that we're moving to 2021, you said you're going to think about what you're going to be doing next and you have your business going. Are there any inspiring words that you want to give to people out there who are maybe looking to approach the sport or just things that in the back of your mind, you always say, I wish they would, whatever that is. What's some things you want to say to them?
On a personal side first, I think the future for me is to continue in the Masters, and I applaud all of the Masters promoters in the IFBB, from Rich Singelman to Gary Udit and Tim Garner, and Chris Mines, and those guys are giving me life to compete. And the one thing that I would, if I can give any advice for anybody getting into this sport that's new, keep your circle small and trust just a one or two people. And if the formula works, you don't need to find a coach that lives farther away. There's some weird thing. I remember John Kemper saying years ago that guys are delusional, thinking that the further someone lives from you, from somebody, they think that they know more. And if you are somebody, Flex A1, I think for 20 years, he's never left his side. That's exactly what I'm saying right there. I think people jump from coach to coach way too fast. And I also recommend not having a coach in the beginning. Learn your body, learn what works for you. Most of these guys just do an experiment and figure out, hey, well, I'm going to do A, B, and C with this person or this guy, this girl. It doesn't take common sense to know that carbs and protein are what you need to get into shape, and how you manipulate them is another story. So we all eat the same foods. We all eat the same. We eat potatoes, sweet potatoes, cream of rice, oatmeal, whatever, chicken, beef, turkey, egg whites. We eat it all. How much do you need? How many carbs can your body handle? How low can you go with the carbs? What do you look like when you go on 4 days of low carbs? What do you look like for 3 or 4 days of high carbs? Learn these things on your own. And if you do have somebody helping you, keep your circle close. And if you're doing there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be on a team. You don't need to be at somebody's gym. You don't need to do those things. You know, you could ask any judge in the IFBB and the Nationals. Vinny Galanti has never walked up to one judge to say, what was wrong? You know, and argue and complain. They judged me that day according to how I looked and how the other guys looked. I always say to the guys that I train, when you show up at a show, just remember, if you won, it was only because somebody better didn't show up. Just remember that. So if you bring your better A game the next time, don't be confused on why you lost. Look at the person who beat you. Were they better? Be really subjective with yourself. Be honest with yourself.
I'm sure.
And a lot of people can't do that. I believe in being honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, you can't move forward. And that's the advice I would give. I can keep going.
That's very good advice. I think that's very good advice. All right. So have you had time? Okay, because today was supposed to be your day off, and then you trained anyway, and now you're talking to me. So are you going to have some downtime today?
Oh, I've trained early. I trained early this morning, and
Okay.
After I'm done with this, I'm going to go to a sports bar and go watch a football game
Cool.
and have a burger and a beer with some of my family members. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was like
you gotta
fun.
have balance.
All right.
You gotta have balance. So
All right. So once again, we can find you at Vinny Galanti with _ on Instagram, and I'll put that in our little video so people can find you.
yes, thank you.
Was there anything else you wanted to share with us today?
Well, I appreciate that you invited me here and wanted to share my story a little bit. So I appreciate you, and I thank you so much.
All right. You take care of you, okay?
You too. Thank you.